slow and steady. We are counting down to the end of the African Cup of Nations, but the battle has just begun right there in Ivory Coast as the boys have been separated from the men and more are still falling by the wayside. A chance that 24 countries will go to war, but only one will rise victorious, and the numbers now speak. We now have a century of goals in the competition, 100 goals scored in 42 matches so far. We just left with 10 matches before the end of the competition. Meanwhile, that was the same number of goals that were scored in the 2021 edition of the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon. In 52 matches, we had 100 goals scored, but we've achieved that with about 10 more games to go before the end of the tournament. It was the host nations, Côte d'Ivoire, knocking out defending champions Senegal in an epic game yesterday at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan. So it's a wonderful time to be here again as we welcome you to our AFCON special studio inside Côte d'Ivoire, right here on your favorite dial, Rapid 96.5 FM Umahia, the sound of your city. This, as you know, is our daily dose of our AFCON special, bringing you the latest happenings right from the nerve center of Africa's biggest football showpiece. My name is Eval Edu, and I'm the midfield maestro. I have my colleagues here with me to talk till about 3 p.m. on the DOT. Let's welcome Oluwapelumi King Adeniyi. Good afternoon to you and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here and also not happy because the team I wanted to win yesterday didn't win, and I'm expecting a lot of banters, and I'm not happy. Immediately Senegal lost the penalty. I wasn't happy.
I was just thinking about Pelumi all through the game yesterday.
let me not start crying on her because it's sad. Let me just give it to our captain. Sorry, I'm so sad.
All right, am I explicit? The captain of the side is here with us as well. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, Lival. Good afternoon, Pelumi. You know, it's a good thing that at least for once, Pelumi is crying. Yeah. He loves to banter people. He loves to give to people.
Committing a sin in my explicit.
What's the sin I'm committing?
You're supposed to comfort your brother. Comfort your brother that is in sorrow.
Be your brother's keeper.
Be your brother's keeper.
I'm not a goalkeeper.
All right, so it's going to be an amazing time right here with the boys as we talk everything in the African Cup of Nations. You know, we have the Travelogue segment, the Rapid Vibes on the street, as well as the Football Talk segment on this particular AFCON special on your favorite dial, Rapid 96.5 FM Umahia, the sound of your city. We have at least somebody waiting on the wings to speak to us today from Abidjan. It's been a very tight schedule for all the journalists I know, and that's why they've been giving us excuses. But today somebody says, okay, I'll squeeze the time, and we are an hour ahead of them. So sometimes when I tell them the time, they tend to calculate with what they are seeing in Ivory Coast, and they miss out and tell me, oh, sorry, I didn't know we were an hour behind you. So we have somebody today to speak to us on the show, and as you know, the program is always highly interactive, so anticipate to be part of the show. We've got our feedback platforms, our call and WhatsApp line are up and running, and I think you can also send a text message, right, in case you can do that, to any of the lines, 0916 0333 965. That doubles as our call and WhatsApp line. Then alternatively, you can send your feedback to the platform, 0916 0000 965. I take it again, 0916 0000 965. And let's begin the show today from a new segment I created here, the AFCON Start Zone. All right, so on the AFCON Start Zone today, excluding the shootouts, right, the penalty shootout, there have been 12 penalties scored at this year's African Cup of Nations, a new record at a single tournament. The previous most was 11 in both 2008 and 2021 African Cup of Nations. So with this, you will know that they will surpass it. 12 penalty have been scored. 15 have been given, by the way. 12 of those penalties have been converted, and it is a record high and the most in a single tournament after 2008 and 2021, where we had 11 penalties scored in the tournament, and we have 10 more matches to go. This AFCON keeps surpassing expectations.
Yeah, records keep being broken and other records being made in this particular competition, and this is what we expect when we talk about the African football, knowing that we are just getting better by the day. It will be an anathema that we look back and we say that our past is better than our present. So it shows that African football is actually growing, since we can already, with 10 matches to go, we have 12 converted penalties. That shows a great improvement in the African Cup of Nations, and we expect more penalties to be converted, because in the games today, the games on Friday, Saturday, and other games to come up till the 11th of February, we expect penalties to be given, and we expect penalties to be converted. Even if no other penalties is being given or converted, a new record have already been set.
All right, and Pelumi, the numbers keep getting better. 100 goals scored in 42 games already in the tournament, surpassing what we had in 2021, when we had 100 goals scored in 52 appearances or 52 matches in the tournament. And now the penalty record as well stands tall. I'd love to see what the disciplinary records are like in terms of the yellow cards and red cards at the end of the tournament, and in terms of the VAR reviews, how many decisions were rescinded and how many decisions were kept. Those are the things I'd love to go and also do a research on. But it's been an amazing AFCON so far, so good. Not short of excitement. Passes, tactics, finishes, saves, tackles, you name it. It's been in abundance here.
It's been in abundance because AFCON is currently setting in new records up and down in the up and down the place, that to the extent that ESPN, BBC are now covering the competition more. It is no more the usual stereotypical football play that we are seeing, or aspect of the tournament that we are seeing. I remember a skit maker, I think Remote, did a skit on referees, not African referees not really being competent referees, and people are attacked because what we have seen in this competition are the referees being good. So I think he had to delete this stuff because it was not in any way a representation of what is happening of the refereeing at the African Cup of Nations. The refereeing has been standard. The gameplay has been standard. The pitch has been standard. I have not seen for once any coach or player complain about the pitch.
Playing surface.
Yeah, the playing surface. I've never seen. If they ask, you can tell me. I've never seen. And now again, we have a different form of competition. I think the reason why the competition has opened up is that there is now a different format. New teams that do not necessarily qualify have qualified. No, basically in those 16 teams, it's normally the same teams that qualify almost time and time again. But now we have seen a different kind of dynamics of African football. I think Cape Verde reached the quarterfinal for the first time in their career. Mauritania reached the round of 16 for the first time. So these are new teams that are completely changing the competition with the hunger. So that hunger and motivation is causing more goals. Angola versus Mauritania, we say Cape Verde, how many goals have you scored? They've almost scored more goals than it, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying. So and again, there's also been an improvement in the tactical style of play, in the way the coach set up their team. Senegal, before they were knocked out, is an example. Cape Verde is an example. Mauritania is an example. Equatorial Guinea is an example. These teams want their players to attack instead of just playing pack the balls. They now want their players to attack, which is unlike African football, which most teams are usually defensive. So I think these three factors are the ones that contribute to the improvement we have seen, and I like it. Hopefully the next competition is not a one-time thing. Hopefully the next competition is better than this one, because we want to keep getting better. Before you know it now, other broadcast organization, other climate to start covering AFCON, and AFCON be one of the most respected competitions in the world. So I like it, and kudos to the CAF for this tournament.
All right, and kudos to the organizers, CAF. And there's been so much sponsorship these days. When you watch the highlights or the best of saves or best of assists, just like a few days ago, we saw the move of the day, and that was Ola Aina's Rabona, the Rabona kick. I think that was to Semi Ajayi, who went in for that Rabona give and collect kind of pass. It was fantastic. You know, there's sponsorship here and there for CAF. So it's been an all-round memorable African Cup of Nations, to say the least, and we're hoping for that climax, right? The icing on the cake, where we get to applaud a fantastic tournament we've had so far. So keep it in mind that you'll be part of the show, and we also get to reach out to somebody in Cote d'Ivoire as well. But let's stroll and do our travel log segment on the show, and this time around we're looking at generally Nigerians in Ivory Coast. So according to statistics available, there are over 2 million Nigerians living in various cities in Ivory Coast. The Yorubas are the domineering Nigerian tribe in Ivory Coast and followed distantly by the Igbos. The number of Nigerian houses living in the West African country are very minute compared to the Yorubas and Igbos living in the country. It was gathered that Osun State in Nigeria has the largest share of Nigerians living in the country, with the bulk of them forming a community known as Temidire in St. Michel by the locals of Ivory Coast. So maybe Pelumi will tell us the meaning of Temidire if it's a Yoruba word, right? So Ejigbo in Osun State is the most popular Nigerian town there in Ivory Coast, as the bulk of Nigerian Yorubas living there are from that part of Nigeria, Ejigbo in Osun State. So the major businesses around, of which Nigerians are involved in, is petty businesses. They are into tailoring, food businesses, and as well as big trades. It was observed that many of the big shops selling clothes, raw food items, drinks, and what have you are owned by Nigerians. No boreholes or wells are in that country called Ivory Coast. You won't find many of them, or if at all you will see any. The Ivory Coast Water Corporation supplies all houses water, and it runs for 20 hours a day. 20 hours a day. No boreholes or wells are in Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast Water Corporation supplies all houses water, and it runs for 20 hours a day, according to statistics made available. So people living in Ivory Coast pay for water bills once in 3 months to the Ivorian government. If you were to be there, I will pay, then I'll pack. I'll use the water after 3 months. I pack. All right, so we always try to play smart in everything.
Yeah,
but that's just me joking. But apart from the 2 million Nigerians currently residing in Ivory Coast, there are other nationals living and earning a living in the West African nations. Persons from Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Mauritania, Ghana, Togo, and Benin Republic are also scattered all around the country, going about their lawful activities in the country. So, Balumi will not have any difficulty if he's to storm Cote d'Ivoire this evening. He has his brothers and sisters from Ejigbo in Osun State, and they reside in a place called Temidire. Balumi.
First of all, he didn't pronounce it correctly. It's not Temidire. It's Temidire.
Oh.
My own has turned to blessing. Temidire.
I don't understand. What's the difference? Temidire and Temidire.
No, Temidire. That means my own has turned to re is like rest. Ire is blessings.
Okay, I know about Ire. Ire is peace out.
Ire is what?
Ire is grace, blessing.
Ire is what?
It was Ire.
No, you said Temidire and Temidire.
No, Temidire and Temidire.
Okay,
it's different.
Okay, yeah.
Re and re.
Yeah, re and re is two different things.
Temidire.
Yeah,
Okay.
Temidire. Say it. I need to say it. I need to say it.
It's not a Yoruba class, actually.
It's absolutely amazing. I think I saw one video I think a couple weeks back how Nigerians are everywhere in the world, and basically in Ivory Coast. I had a friend, it was my roommate, and my friend is based in Ivory Coast. His parents are based in Ivory Coast, and he stayed there for a larger part of his childhood life. So I'm not really surprised. And that Yoruba, his name was Sheriff. Shout out to him anyways. So I'm not surprised that there are actually communities there, because for them to have stayed that long and are still staying in that community, they must have a fellows of their community members with them, or the tribe members, and because that's what makes it sweet. When you're mixing with the other citizens, even though they are a friend of the country, it's not like mixing with your own kindred, but Nigerians, Yorubas, Igbos, depending on the kind of community. So Ejigbo is like a permanent town in Yoruba land, and it's basically in Osun State. So they carried another Ejigbo. They created their own Ejigbo Ejigbo in Ivory Coast, just like how Nigerians created Peckham in
the UK.
In the UK, Peckham is just like another. I've never been there before. For those who are wondering if I've been to London, I hope to be. But then from the stories I've heard and what I'm seeing, Peckham is another Oshodi on
You
another
said
side
you
of
go to
Lagos.
Peckham, you go, oh, wow, now.
Yeah, you get. So, but I'm hoping. So, if anybody is open to sponsor me to Peckham, I'm ready. I'll give you the reports live from Peckham.
Oh, God, come on put in for adverts. Don't be doing adverts free of
I'll
charge.
give you report live from Peckham. Anyways, I'm hoping. So yeah, so that's it. So
That's it.
So at least he has a background to that, 2 million Nigerians. That is
Yeah.
the one that they can actually account for.
Yeah.
Because there could be more who are not legally residing there, as we all know, or those who are Nigerians but have also naturalized or turned their citizenship and can be classed as Ivorians as well. So 27.48 million as at 2022 population for Cote d'Ivoire. 2 million plus Nigerians. Well, not bad.
and the name that they put also has a meaning. Basically, they want to turn to blessing, so they had to leave Nigeria and name Temi Dire. Basically,
okay.
So Tiema Dire. Do you know what I said now? Do you understand?
Yes.
That you want to also turn to blessing. It's a prayer.
Okay. Amen. but this is almost a Yoruba show.
Ami.
No, Ami.
Okay.
All right. Let's try and see if we can link up with them. Let's just take the rapid vibes on the street segment and see if we can link up with somebody right there in the Ivory Coast. Possibly, let's get over and join Fisayo Dairo, and if we can get Fisayo on the show today, to be very appealing to have him speak to us on the show. So if we can link up with Fisayo Dairo, we'll be speaking to us live. Okay, so thank goodness we have Fisayo Dairo. Fisayo, good afternoon to you. Hello, Fisayo, good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon to you. Hello, Fisayo, can you hear us? Hello, Fisayo, can you hear us? We can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Hello, Fisayo. Hello, can you hear us now?
You can't hear us. Can you hear us?
Hello, Fisayo, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, Fisayo Dairo is chief football writer, ACLsport.com, and currently covering the 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations. Fisayo Dairo, good afternoon to you, and many thanks for joining us on Inside Cote d'Ivoire on Rapid 96.5 FM Omar here. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Val.
All right, it's been an amazing 24 hours, and it's also been an amazing 2 weeks plus of entertainment right there at the city centers in Abidjan. Let's get to hear how exciting it was yesterday for the host nation Cote d'Ivoire to qualify, beating the defending champions Senegal and into the quarterfinals of the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, the wild celebrations that fueled their qualification after they were done a huge favor by Morocco, beating Zambia in the last group game, showed that the fans have huge expectations of their team, regardless of the anticlimax they had in the group stage, losing 2 matches and winning one as the opening game. They still held their team to high heavens, and coming up against a regional foe like the Teranga Lions of Senegal on Monday night, it was a special occasion for them, and seeing how they clawed their ways back from the jaws of defeat and then win in the most pulsating fashion in the penalty shootout, the reaction was expected. From the fan zone where they watched the game to the streets, everywhere in Abidjan, it was electric after the game. For hours after the match, they were in the streets celebrating, drinking, fighting, jubilating. That's why we love football.
That's why we love football, because a few days ago, the manager, John Gazet, Leo Gazet, had thrown in the towel and have left the team. But his assistant stepped up to take the job, and in just the space of 4 days, he turned things around. What was the motivation behind these Ivorians? Because we hear that before that game, they visited the tomb or the grave of Felix Homfe. Could that be linked with superstition like we saw in 2012 when the Zambians visited the crash site of their fallen heroes of 93/94 in Angola?
Well, whatever happens, the mind games, the mental battle and preparations, football is still being played on the pitch. Egypt slaughtered a cow shortly before their second round game, the way they did back in 2008 in Ghana. And they went on to win the tournament back to back. And this time around they did it and it didn't work for them. And so, visiting the team of Felix Ufegoye for me means nothing. But, I think what's also did is the fact that since the Uibo man in quotes left, they had one of their own in charge, a former Ivorian international, Emasifai, assisted by another former international, Guy Demel. So I think maybe we can say they have the Ivorian DNA. He made some bold calls during the game. He dropped Franck Kessié to the bench before the game. And while they were still looking for equalizer, he removed Seko Fofana, much to the surprise of the fans, because
I'm also
love to have him.
surprised because the man was all over the place yesterday. His work rate was absolutely astronomical from front to back, linking the attack, coming back in defense, in midfield, everywhere. He was everywhere. What a big call.
Yeah, Fofana. Yeah, so, but Emasifai is a young man. I always respect midfielders that turn to coaches. They're always cerebral. So he was also a midfielder like Fofana, Kessié. I think it's not a surprise that Jean-Michel Seri was named the man of the match. And this was a player that was overlooked in the first 3 matches by the expatriates. So these are some of the things that really helped them on the night. And then, like I said, they have the Ivorian DNA. It's a wee thing. They had the support of all other, the extra support of all other former elephants, and that's just it.
Okay, and in the wake of that defeat, that heavy defeat to Equatorial Guinea, we saw pictures of vandalized vehicles and vandalized government equipment and the rest and facilities, right? What was the reaction of the Ivorian government to that massive destruction we saw on social media?
I don't think the destruction was massive. If you destroy buses here and there, throw stones here and there, do bonfire, I don't think it's. I think it's had exaggerated. But what is the reaction? There hasn't been any reaction whatsoever. They are the host nation and they have the passion. It's just like asking what's Kano State government doing whenever Kano Pillars fans destroy things. It's who they are. You cannot take it away from them. But an average, it's not like Nigeria where nobody loves, where no one is patriotic anymore. I was going to tweet something that, without exaggerating, at least 80% of Ivorians have their national jerseys. I'm not talking about those that go to the stadium.
Wow, 80%.
I've been to at least 80%.
Wow.
Anytime Cote d'Ivoire have a game, they are all in their white or pink jerseys. Old, small, youths, everything. Even at hotels where there are uniforms, that day the national team has games, it becomes their uniform. It has become like a national process that anytime national team have a game, you are wearing the white or the orange. So the government cannot be that miffed when they find out. Like I told someone yesterday that when I saw the wild celebration, I said, now I understand what happens if they lose. Because it is going to be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Like that yesterday during the celebration, I even had some of the videos where the police crew were patrolling. And one of the vans even joined in celebration. The policemen, they were videoing and they were patrolling because they knew their guys. I also have a video where it degenerated into stone throws. Yeah, a fight among a two group of people. So but it's their passion. And like that day, okay, let's assume they lost last night. Perhaps that would have happened again.
Yeah.
But after the night, they will wake up and pick up the pieces.
Okay. All right. So just before we let you go, let's talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We've seen Jose Pesero's tactical ingenuity in two games: the game against the Ivorians and the game against Cameroon, where he showed his tactical brilliance there. But the big talking point is the fitness of goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali. Pictures surfaced yesterday. He was on one side training alone, and there are reports today that the man seemed to have been ruled out of the tie this Friday. What is the true state of things with Stanley Nwabali?
Yeah, the manner of injury that he had in that game, it's obvious. It didn't look good at all. And even if he is a fighter and if this is his golden opportunity, although I believe he has already made his name, whatever happens, except Francis Uzor produce master classes in the next 2-3 matches. That's why Nwabali will be dislodged as Nigeria's number one after this tournament. But this is his tournament. He wants to continue, but it is what it is. For now, he's not going to participate on Friday. Is he going to participate in the semi-final if you qualify? It's still extremely doubtful as well. So that's just the situation. For now, we are left with Francis Udozo Dunaka and Ojo Odoruleke.
All right, so that's a confirmation that is ruled out for Friday. And haven't seen this team in close quarters. You've seen training sessions aplenty. You've spoken to the players. You've seen the atmosphere around their camp. Can they do it again?
Well, it's a tournament, and look at the way the AFCON has panned out this year. It's not like I was telling a reporter that just came for a Vox Pop to me at the media center a few minutes ago. I said the fact that officiating has been good, although yes, I know there were some question mark yet last night, but ironically, it was not even in favor of the hosts. But officiating has been good, which means there is level playing field for all the teams. So when football teams and football players know that there is a level playing field, they tend to be at their best. I was at the Cape Verde Mauritania game yesterday, and I was shocked with the way the Mauritanians played in the first half, especially.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, Mauritania, and if not for that costly error, that kind of game could have gotten to the extra time. So why can't the Super Eagles do it again if they really want it? This is not the tournament where there will be excuses, where you say the officiating was not good. So if they want it, they have to prove it to us on the field of play. But can they do it? Yes, they can. Any team in this competition, look at Cape Verde. They've reached their highest height ever in the Africa Cup of Nations. Look at Guinea. The other day I was at the Equatorial Guinea versus Guinea game, and Guinea shares a border with Cote d'Ivoire. So they have a large number of fans there. It was practically like a home game as well that day for Guinea, and they made it count. Wow. So any of these teams can just do it if they feel they want it. That's what I think.
All right, and finally, before we let you go, we have been infected here in the studio by Tamsi's song, because it seems to be the national anthem in the stadium. I don't know if you know how to dance Tamsi's song right now. Haven't been with the Ivorians for so long. It's last few days.
I'm actually a bad dancer, really. I know. But I do enjoy it as well. Okay. There's no way that song blasts through the loudspeakers and you don't get to shake your head or move. So of course it's a very lovely jam, I must say.
All right, thank you so much, Fisayo Dairo, for your time on the show today. Fisayo Dairo is chief football writer, ACLsports.com, also formerly the match delegate with the LMC and the Nigerian Premier Football League, and he is also a scout, right? He's also a football scout right here in the country, and consults for international clubs as well. Thank you so much, Fisayo, for sparing your limited time with us today on Inside Cote d'Ivoire.
Thank you so much for having me, Val.
Thank you so much. All right, so that was Fisayo Dairo joining us all the way from Cote d'Ivoire, where he gave us in-depth reports about the latest happenings in the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and also what's happening in the streets of Cote d'Ivoire and also the competition. Well, he says there's no how you're in Cote d'Ivoire and you will not shake your body to Tamsi's jam. Well, let's just shake our body a little bit. When we come back, the guys will talk to me. We'll also get to hear from you, and we'll also do the football talk on the show. Don't go away, stay with us.
La Côte d'Ivoire, inspirante d'hospitalité, reçoit l'Afrique. Jour de fête. C'est quoi? Et où ça va? I love the Piatti Empire. No me let Ibrahim Sama Diamati. À lui seulement. Qui ça balèze? Fous du matos. Descends, fous du matos. On pousse, descends, fous du matos. On pousse. Fous du matos, c'est fous du matos. Tu fais ça pourquoi? Y'a un coup de pied dedans. Hommage à toi, président Big Saga. Venez danser. La Côte d'Ivoire, nous sommes l'Afrique, ça va chauffer. Y'a aussi le pain. On fait ça, mais on t'en voleur. Ici c'est la zone de Gare. De Los Angeles, Junior Dollar, Marco
Alright, interesting song there by Tam C. He calls that one Coupe du Mantra. Yes, that's the title of that particular song. And in fact, when you watch the AFCON and you don't hear the song blast through the speakers, watch again if you're actually following the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire, because that song is that infectious. It's always played almost every now and then right there in the start. But we got to hear from Fisayo Dairo, and I was surprised when he said at least 80% of Ivorians have their national team's jersey.
Well, it is a good thing that they are patriotic, so patriotic that even in hotels, that they turn their uniform for the day whenever Ivory Coast is playing to the white or orange jerseys. That shows the level of patriotism when it comes to football over there. It is a good one, a very, very beautiful one. I just hope and wish that one day in this country we can be able to say that when Nigeria is having a match, you can be walking on the street and 80% of persons walking on the streets are actually putting on this jersey. But I doubt if that's the case in this country, because I don't really know what's happening to us, why we're not as patriotic as they are, or maybe because they're the ones hosting the tournaments. They want to show the whole world that, and the whole Africa, that they are so patriotic that they love their national team. Maybe that's what informed their anger and their happiness. Likewise, because the other day they were angry, and the other day, the few days, they've also been so happy. Good way to show their level of patriotism to their country, and a good way to show their support for the team as well.
All right, and yesterday was more like the climax of it, and they are not yet done because they march on into the next round of the tournament. Balumi, you were here yesterday. You spoke glowingly of Senegal. You were so confident they will whitewash or brush aside the Cote d'Ivoire with so much ease. 4 minutes, it was looking likely. Diallo getting the goal, a superb chest control and a swivel, and a lovely hit into the top roof of the back of the net from that Sadio Mane's crossing. But The Ivorian turned on the screw, applied all the pressure, did the right things, got the crowd behind them, and finally got the equalizer that took the game to penalties and got to win. Your perception, I think it changed after what you saw yesterday, because look at the two of the third best teams, right? Guinea and now Ivory Coast have knocked out the teams who have qualified as top, right? So it shows that
almost favorites.
As favorites, they've knocked out the teams who have qualified. They have first or second.
Yeah.
Two of the third best teams. So two more are still left.
All I can say is that
Now you're humble.
He's very humble.
football
will humble you.
Humbled me, and I know you deliberately asked me the question. You put it in your script. Ask Pelumi King this question, and I'll answer because Senegal actually disappointed me. I couldn't believe what I watched. They scored 4 minutes, and you decided that okay, let's be like another Equatorial Guinea and sit back for majority of the game, and our chances would come. It was unusual. Although you could say that Ivory Coast were very very different. I think it's the change of coach, it's the change of pace, it's the change of system, and it's the change of energy. Basically, there's one thing that when a new manager comes, it brings in a different kind of energy, particularly in an African competition, and the person knows the players. You mentioned that it was the coaches are former Ivorian international, so basically they respect them, and they now want to show that okay, they have been given a second chance. I said just a couple of weeks back that when a man is given a second chance, he tends to do things differently. And
boy, didn't believe in the Ivorian second chance. Even when I told you that they went to the grave of their former president.
I didn't believe because I believe that there are some times that he wants to have a second chance at things, but there's a certain addiction. I thought Senegal was that addiction, but Ivory Coast broke that addiction the second time, and the addiction to lose, they broke it the second time, and I feel so humbled right now. I'm almost crying.
Yeah, you should cry. You should cry.
Don't say that. I'm very emotional right now. Please. Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
One good thing about
please do not let explicit to talk. Please, he's gonna.
No, I'm not going to attack you.
He's gonna make me cry.
I'm not going to attack you because I know that at least for once you've actually agreed that this is football, and anything can happen. So you don't stick out your neck for any team right now, even the Real Madrid that you support. So let's come back to African Cup of Nations.
No, Real Madrid is not like saying.
Let's come back to African Cup of Nations. I feel yesterday while seeing that game between Ivory Coast and Senegal, I saw a different Ivory Coast.
Exactly.
I saw an Ivory Coast that wanted it by all costs. I saw a determined Ivory Coast. They played ball for the 120 minutes. They played very good football for the 120 minutes. And for Senegal, I felt they came in with the mindset that we can do this. The same thing that happened to the Super Eagles in 2021 after winning 3 group games, coming into the round of 16 with the hopes very high, and maybe their morale, just like we say over here, very high, thinking that this is what we normally do, so let's do it again. They wasted a lot of chances. They had opportunities, but they were wasteful in front of goal for me. So I think that also cost them the game yesterday. And let me just say, it was the day for the Ivorians yesterday. Exactly. Last night was just for the Ivorians. That's just it, because Senegal did everything right. Just putting the ball into the back of the net was just what they didn't do right. And one mistake that Mendy made, well, it wasn't a mistake. He charged for the ball, and Pepe was brought down, and that was a PK. So nothing could have been done there. And good call by the new coach, or the interim coach of the Ivorians. When he removed Seko Fofana, in my head I was like, this game is done. Ivorians, I'm sorry, you guys are crying tonight. But when the other guy came in, he took the midfield like Seko Fofana was joking in the midfield, and that helped the Ivorians very well. So kudos to the new coach. He did very well yesterday.
Okay, and all through the competition, we've applauded the use of the VAR, and we've applauded officiating. But I think there were 2 calls yesterday that had a huge impact on the game. Firstly, Sadio Mane, to me, had no business remaining on that pitch after that rugged tackle. That's exactly what Iwobi did against Tunisia.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we saw in the game between Guinea and Cameroon. You know, those tackle where you go and you lose control, you slip, and your studs are out.
Yeah.
High up the chin of the Ivorian player, He caught him. I think that was on Sangare, Ibrahima Sangare. That was a very, very high boot. But Sadio Mane stayed on. And I think there was also a penalty call for Ismaila Sarr later on when he was challenged and charged, a 50-50 battle, and the legs tangled in the box. The referee stood his ground. The VAR communicated to him, and I saw him say no, and no. Those two calls were calls that I thought that all through the competition we've not seen or had a reason to complain about, the verdict. But yesterday, there were two of the situations where I thought it would have gone either way.
The pressure is getting Wesa. Yeah, I wanted to use the Ghanaian stuff. Anyways, although the Ghanaians will be happy that I'm sounding like this. Yeah, so the thing is, it's not only getting worse for the players, it's getting worse for the referees because it's an high game competition. They're not in the intense parts. The group stage were just okay, it's a group stage, 3 points or something, but then this is a knockout round, and sometimes when there's pressure, there tends to be mistakes. So basically, that's what happened because Senegal. I thought I was supporting Senegal yesterday, of course, but Mane should have been sent off. The second one was an entanglement between legs, not the one between Will Smith, Rice, and the rest. But then entanglement, it was supposed to be a penalty, but it wasn't a penalty. But the better team won at the end of the day.
All right, better team won at the end of the day, and we'll be taking a very short commercial break right now. We're going on a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll throw up on the phone lines. Then we'll talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the other game we did see earlier, Cape Verde beating Mauritania by a lone goal, and we'll also look at today's matches. Yeah, this will be the final round of games for this stage of the competition, which is a round of 16. We'll see Morocco up against South Africa at 9 p.m. Then Mali will take on Burkina Faso as well. Let's take a very short commercial break. We'll be back with the show. I would also love to hear from you. Don't go away. Stay with us.
People, as human being body need balanced diet to take function well. Now so engine need better oil to take perform well. And the correct oil where car owners, generator users, mechanic and many others they enjoy now. Naibi Lubrisac oil. Yes, so Lubrisac oil get them for different variety like Lubrisac Plus, where be high performance multi-grade oil for petrol engine. Them get Lubrisac Super HD oil, where be high performance multi-purpose engine oil. What about the Lubrisac Optimum, ultra high multi-grade engine oil for new petrol engines? They still get Lubrisac Power Max, super performance diesel engine oil for heavy duty trucks and heavy duty generators. In our end for there, Lubrisac still get other kind of industrial oil like gear oil, hydraulic, turbine oil and compressor oil. Lubrisac product they available for filling stations and retail shops nationwide. So for correct engine performance, go for the quality Lubrisac oil. Lubrisac oil now another product from Saclos Industry Nigeria Limited.
Are you missing out on interviews, music, entertainment, thought-provoking discussions, and more? Don't sweat it, man. We've got you covered. No matter where you are, be part of the action 24/7, online and live with Rapid 96.5 FM at Rapid 965 FM on YouTube and Facebook. Catch the pulse of Abia State with Rapid 96.5 FM Umuahia, the sound of your city.
Welcome back to Inside Côte d'Ivoire, reaching you from the stables of Rapid 96.5 FM, Umuahia, the sound of your city. Time for us to get to hear from you on the show this hour. 0916 0333 965 0916 0000 965. Put those calls across. Let's get to hear from you. Since 2008, no defending champion since Egypt did it in 2008, because they won 2006 and 2008 African Cup of Nations. And we've just been told that in 2008 they slaughtered a cow. And they did their thing and got to win it. Yes, they slaughtered cow for this one. Work. Maybe they would have asked him about what to do again, but that's just me kidding. Right? Since 2008, where Egypt, as defending champions, moved past the round of 16. Since then, no defending champion has moved past the round of 16, and Senegal were the latest to have fallen to that particular record. We'll talk more about that record, pinpointing all the teams that have similar record that have fallen short at the round of 16 of the African Cup of Nations. 0916 0333 965 or 0916 0000 965, and you'll be live on the show as well. The news that came in, okay, on Facebook, we're also on facebook.com/rapid965 FM, www.facebook.com /rapid965 FM. Drop a comment there and we'll read your comments before the end of the show as well. Meanwhile, call lines 0916 0333 965 or 0916 0000 965 as well. The news coming in from Fisayo confirming the exclusion of Stanley Nwabali for Friday's game. He's called it out. He said he's out. He's out for this game. Hopefully, they see him return against wherever,
if we can be able to
Nigeria qualify for the semi-final of the tournament. This is a big blow. You know, looking at how well he has performed so far in this tournament. Am I explicit?
Well, a big blow, but I think we can actually survive with any goalkeeper in the goal post, because looking at the competition, Nigeria is the only team that have conceded only one goal up to this point, meaning that our defensive have been very rugged and dogged. So if Francis Ozoho can be able to have to be the Francis Ozoho we used to know back in the days when he came into the Super Eagles newly, I think we shouldn't be having issues with him, because first, I trust the defense that we have right now. They've been able to prove themselves, and if you noticed, when Francis Ozoho was brought into that game against in our last game, the Super Eagles defense became much more it became tighter, it became much more rugged than it was when the game started. So I still believe, sure, we're going to miss Stanley Nwabali, but the Nigerians, I beg of us to actually trust Francis Ozoho for once, and also trusting our defense to be able to protect him enough not to give the Angolans, the Angolan team, we shouldn't give them the opportunity to come close to Francis Ozoho, knowing that he can actually slip off in a minute.
All right, it's going to be an uphill task, you know, for Nigerians to get behind their team, you know, and it's now in the hands of the coaches to instill that confidence on Francis Ozoho. We shouldn't forget that against Cameroon, the two activities he did there were goal kicks, mostly. The two goal kicks he took, one of them ended around the center circle and it was pressure back to Nigeria. The other one
was out of play
for a throw-in, still in Nigeria's half on the other end. You know, he needs confidence, and that's exactly what Nwabali brought in. That was different. Somebody with the ability to shout to his defenders, coordinate his back line, and do his own job. Yeah. Because you cannot be shouting like Onana shouted to Maguire, and when the ball comes, you flop it. You need to do your own job. He's got to do a bit of confidence and a bit of doing his own job.
Exactly. He has to be more confident. He lacks it, particularly when they're okay.
Let's see if we can listen to this caller. Hello, good afternoon to you. Welcome. Yeah, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you. Welcome. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Hello. Good. Okay, we lost him there. Let's hear you.
Yeah, he needs confidence because he's contending with a lot of things. First of all, the lack of team trust, and secondly, the lack of Nigerians' trust. I don't think the defense trusts him as much as they will trust Nwabali, basically, given that his second choice and the mistakes he has made. But then he needs to show, like, again, nobody was expecting him to do well versus Omnia versus Manchester United. It was always, Rashford going to score this, but then it was one of his best ever games, both for club and country. So I want him to bring that form, and I want him to be more confident in himself. Like I said, the keeper is normally the first line of defense. If the first line in defense is failing, any shot will go in, like we have seen him against Saudi Arabia and the rest. So he should just be more confident and up with defense, because the goals conceded or the goals you are allowing will determine how the defense will react to it. There's a probability that if the defense concedes first or he makes a mistake, they will not be as confident as they used to be. See how Liverpool defense are confident with Alisson than how they will be confident with Kelleher or the third choice goalkeeper. When we Alisson, they know that this is happening, but with Kelleher, everybody lets the guys down. That will always G3. So it should give the defense more confidence by being more confident himself. Thank you.
All right, and today we have a game, 2 games to look out for today. We have a game between Morocco and South Africa, as well as Mali and Burkina Faso. Just 2 minutes left for us to leave the studio. Morocco, South Africa. What are your thoughts? The last time we had a South African team in the knockout phase of the competition, they were able to beat and knock out Egypt, the host nation, in 2019. Now they face a similar prospect, but this time around in a different form in another North African country, in Morocco. It's not only a Salah affair now. Now you have Ashraf Hakimi, you have what is the name again? Unawi. You have Amrabat. You have Hakim Ziyech. You have Nesri. So many exciting players to look out for. Can the South Africans cause an upset here, and a huge one?
Well, upset is one thing that is constant in this particular competition. So South Africans causing an upset in this particular game I won't be surprised at all. So what I feel is tonight I'll just be watching an exciting game, and whatever that happens. But I'll be very happy if there is an upset.
All right, very happy if there's an upset, and we're also very happy to escape from the studios only to make a return at 6 p.m. when we turn up for our evening sports show right here in your favorite dial, Rapid 96.5 FM. So many thanks to Oluwapelomi King and Emma Explicit for their time on the show. Many thanks to you as well for being a companion. By the way, very sorry that we couldn't take in reactions as many as we could because of maybe 1 or 2 hitches, but we're happy that we are here doing Inside Côte d'Ivoire. Until we come your way at 6 p.m. Do have yourself a lovely day. Tick tick zoom.